Hi guys, it's Larry Holcombe here, Sonic Academy. I'm going to do a quick video on kind of different aspects of setting your compressor's attack control. Okay, so I've got a track here that I made a few years ago, and I've just got the outro playing here with some drums and some bass. I'll give you a quick blast. You get the picture, so kind of a disco-y house kind of track. So I've got Ableton's compressor loaded up here. And a lot of times people think of the attacker, the attack control as being, how punchy do you want something to be, which is perfectly reasonable explanation. But I feel like it's kind of missing another aspect to the compressor's attack control, which is very important. And that is allowing you to set front-back perspective using the attack control of the compressor. Not just the attack control, but the attack control is very important for this. Why does it do that? Because it basically tells us how much transient information is going to be allowed through by the compressor. And then if we use the makeup gain at the end, if we're allowing transient information to come through and then compressing, the transient information is only going to be comparatively louder. Why is that important? Well, if you've seen any of my other videos, especially 3D mixing, things like that, but pretty much any video I've done, I'll talk about the fact that the level of transient is very important for you being able to understand front-back perspective. So if someone's hitting a snare drum right next to your ear, you're going to get a very loud snap transient. Whereas if that sound is coming from 100 meters away, okay, it's going to be much quieter, but it's also going to lose transient information. Why is it going to lose transient information? Because as the sound moves through the air, the high frequencies are going to dissipate more than the low frequencies, which means the transient information is going to be comparatively quieter. So anytime we're adding transient information, something is going to appear closer to us. Anytime we're removing transient information or attenuating it, we're going to be pushing the sound further back. So you can use that dynamic to create perspective in your mixes. So if you had a plucky kind of sound, which you wanted to be really up front, then if you're adding attack to it, adding transient information, it's going to appear closer to you. If you feel like it's competing with the vocal too much and you want to push it back and hold it more further back behind, say, a vocal, if you were to remove transient information, then that would actually make it sit further back. Now, obviously, when we're mixing music, we're using two speakers or headphones, so the actual sound is all coming from the same place. So we're trying to trick the ear of the listener into thinking it's coming from further away. Why is it trick the ear? Because the ear is designed and the brain is designed to perceive more transient information as something which is closer to you. Further away is going to be less transient information. So the attack control is not just about, do I want it to be more punchy or not? It also has that kind of higher order function to it. So let's have a look at these drums, as I said, and let's have a look at this kind of dynamic in action. Okay, so before we even get into the setting the front-back perspective, one way you can actually kind of set your attack time accurately is bring the threshold right down. So you're really kind of massacring whatever it is you're putting through there. Bring the attack right down. Let's solo the drums. And bring the attack up until you can hear the transient coming through. You can hear now that the transient feels quite natural. Whereas there it's completely massacred. So for example here, we're at 40 milliseconds is probably the most kind of natural setting, allowing the kick drum to come through. So you can use that as a ballpark figure for where you want to set your attack time, assuming you want the transient to come through. Okay, so that was just a little aside. But let's have a look at these two different techniques in action. And we're going to now take it off solo so we can hear it with the other tracks. Okay, so this is going to be with a very fast attack time. Release time I'm going to bring up like so. Okay, so threshold needs to come up because we're pushing it a bit too much. So I'm looking for about like a dB of gain reduction here. We're going to keep it reasonably subtle. Okay, and we want to not be tricked by loudness, so let's try and create a output gain to match. Okay. Okay, so that's with the compression out. Now ask yourself, does that feel like it's closer to you, the drums? Does that feel like it's sitting back in the mix? Sitting back, coming forward. It's subtle, but like focus on a different sound, focus on the bass. Does the bass feel like it comes forward a little bit and the drums sit a bit further back with the compression in? It does to me. So that is with a fast attack. So a fast attack, we're gently removing transient information. Obviously, I could push that even more. We could bring the threshold down. So we could exaggerate it. Let me put this on peak mode. So obviously now that's really exaggerating it. So by using a fast attack time and removing that transient information, we can make the sound sit back. Now, on the other hand, if we're to increase the transient information, so I'll set that to 30. No, we said 40, didn't we? So I'll bring it up to 40. So now let's try and match the output gain. So I'm looking at the gain reduction here. So around a dB. Now we're trying to get the drums to come forward. So you've got to be careful it's not just loudness. So back, forward, punchier. Back, forward. Back, forward. So what I'm trying to get at is you don't just have to think about the attack time as just being simply about making something more more punchy or squashing it. It's also about bringing it forward in the mix and setting it back in the mix. So it's kind of a good idea when you're mixing a track, before you even start, think to yourself, what's the function of this sound in the mix? Do I want it to be forward? Do I want it to be back? So if it's like a paddy kind of sound, that's not really going to have any attack information to it anyway, but maybe it has, some kind of modulation to it, which gives it some kind of attack or some resonance to it or something like that. Then if you want to push that back, then you would use a fast attack. So for each sound, try and think, do I want this to be forward? Is this track all about, about the vocal? Do I want the vocal to be up front? Do I want the bass to be really up front? Is there a guitar lead part that comes in that I need to be up front? If it is, then use that slow attack time. And if you don't really want to get too kind of hung up on the attack times, you can really just go kind of extreme, or you can think of it like some compressors have for the attack. They have like a dial where you can either set it to kind of 1 millisecond, 5 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds, or something around those kind of values. So you can think in those terms, just have some kind of go-to setting. So if you want the attack to come through, generally 30 milliseconds is going to be a good ballpark figure for transients to come through. If you want it to be, super fast and push things back, 1 millisecond is going to be good. If you go like 0, sometimes you can add in some kind of distortion, so you want to be careful with that. But that hopefully just gives you an idea or another level of understanding of how to set the attack time on your compressor, because I think sometimes people overlook the fact that compression works on volume, and volume is the most important way that we can determine how far or close something is to us. So anytime you're manipulating volume, you're working on those parameters as well, and it can really help you set that front back perspective. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you again for another video in the future.